Hello and welcome back to A Stick and Three Pedals. In today's video we have this Mercedes AMG A35 with some modifications, of course. Before we continue, I'd like to thank the owner for letting me film his car, so be sure to follow him, BFR_A35. So this is the 4th gen A-Class. With this generation, AMG decided to offer 3 performance variants, whereas in the previous generation there were only one, being the A45, which was the first AMG A-Class. With this generation, AMG offers this, the A35, the A45, and then the top-of-the-line A45S. By having several performance models, AMG can compete with different hot hatch categories and therefore sell more cars. The A35 competes with the Mark 8 Golf R, the Audi S3, and the new M135i with the 2-liter 4-cylinder. Performance-wise, the Mark 8 Golf R has shown to be the best. However, I'm not a fan of the interior nor exterior, and same goes for the BMW, so I'd choose either this or an S3. The car here we have today is a A35 hatchback, since for the first time ever there's also a A-Class sedan, along with a CLA and a CLA shooting brake, which are all pretty much the same car. This specific car has a Stage 1 tune done, and it brings the power from 306 metric horsepower to 345 and torque from 400 Newton meters to 480, as well as a fruity Milltek exhaust, which really livens the car up, since stock they're quite quiet. The Panamericana grille, as this one has, is from a A45, since the A35 has a different style grille. However, with the facelift, which just came out, all of them get a Panamericana grille. This car has also been optioned with the Aero Pack, which gives you these bumper canards, as well as this bigger spoiler, which is much bigger than the regular one, and a more pronounced diffuser. The exhaust tips are from a A45, so they have quad tips, whereas a regular A35 has dual tips. In my opinion, if you don't go for an Aero Pack, then this car really looks subdued, and it almost looks like a regular A-Class just with an AMG line. This car is also finished in sun yellow, and the owner has also painted the brake calipers to this orange color, which is usually what you get with carbon ceramics on AMG models. So, moving under the hood, this being the A35, it has 306 metric horsepower and 400 Newton meters. And then with the A45, you get 387 horsepower and 480 Newton meters. And with the top-of-the-line A45S, you get 421 horsepower and 500 Newton meters, which is a lot for a 2-liter 4-cylinder. And all of them have a 2-liter 4-cylinder. However, this engine in the A35 is a regular Mercedes engine from a A220 or a A250, codename M260, whereas the A45s get a AMG specific engine, codename M139. Other differences are the transmissions. The 35 gets a 7-speed dual clutch, whereas the 45s get an 8-speed dual clutch, as well as the 4-wheel drive systems. The A35 has a more traditional all-wheel drive system, whereas the 45s get 4MATIC Plus, which means there's a drift mode, which sends more power to the rear, and it can make it a lot more fun. Stock, this car does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.7 seconds and 100 to 200 in the low 14s. With this Stage 1 tune, as I mentioned, 345 horsepower and 480 Newton meters. 0 to 100 is in the low 4-second range, and 100 to 200 is in the low 12 seconds. Another change which AMG did to this car was the suspension. It has solid mountings between the car and the suspension. There are no rubber bushings, which make it a lot more stiff. Moving to the interior of the vehicle, I think this is where Mercedes fins by far. Not only is it a step up from the previous generation, but I also think that it's the best in its class. This car has the upgraded performance seats, which really help you stay in place when you go around corners quickly. However, on longer journeys, some people might find them slightly uncomfortable. As standard, there is a regular sports seat. This generation A-Class, back when it debuted back in 2018, was the first Mercedes to have MBUX, the new generation infotainment system. It has really beautiful graphics and is simple to use, and there's endless menus and configurability within the system. This A-Class, just like most A-Class, has the upgraded dual screens, which are two 10.25-inch screens. This being an AMG model, you also get this special Super Sport gauge cluster. If we go back to Super Sport, then we can see all the different AMG specific menus. Here you can see different oil temperatures, boost and power, then what driving mode you are, G, and then your rev counter with your gear. You can configure it to have different information on this side as well as on the right side. You can control the infotainment system by touch, by the right side of the steering wheel, or by this trackpad down here. The gauge cluster is controlled only by this left side of the steering wheel. With the driving select switch, you can select between different driving modes. So there's race, sport plus, sport, comfort, individual, which you can set up tons of different aspects about the vehicle. As you can see, the owner has put it in manual, in AMG Dynamics Pro, sport steering wheel, and comfort sound, as well as slippery mode if you are on slippier conditions. You can also change that with the steering wheel just by twisting it left to right with all the same different driving modes. And on the left side you have different aspects about the vehicle, so the traction control, start stop, gears, which I really like, and it does take this vehicle to another level. Along with this carbon fiber steering wheel, which the owner recently installed, so it's perfect timing. It really looks nice. And you even have shifter lights at the top. This being an MBUX system, you also have voice recognition. You can say stuff like, "Hey Mercedes."
Wat kan ik voor je doen?
And then you can tell them that you're cold or you want some navigation input, and it will do it automatically, and you don't need some special speech to do it. You can use your normal vocabulary. This being an AMG model, you also get AMG performance pages, which shows you even more aspects about the vehicle. Here you have sort of a dynometer with different temperatures, your power and your torque, your fuel consumption, and dynamic select, which you can configure your individual mode. Even though this screen has tons of options and endless menus, Mercedes still decided to put the HVAC system with real buttons, which I really like and commend Mercedes for doing, unlike other manufacturers like Volkswagen.